Hello. Alright, I'm gonna quickly get Spotify doing something. I haven't yet decided what I'm gonna listen to. I need something, like, pretty long. And this is... Okay, we'll listen to Black Magic Blazing. This one is like an entire hour. Okay. I will get Game Maker up and running. Shouldn't take too long. Okay. So, I need to check how the boss script works. Alright. Okay. So I guess the first thing to do, well, that would be helpful to do, is actually just go in and copy over a boss script. So I think the first boss is at 25. Yeah, okay. Now, I am wondering if I can just throw this... Like, I should be able to just throw this into a script so that I'm not having to, like, copy this entire thing into here, just, you know, completely continuing the spaghetti code. Like to keep things reasonably neat. We have a secret boss. If pattern equals 58. Oh. So yeah, that's gonna show as invalid, but copy this over here. Now we can get rid of that. And then we get rid of the lost bracket. From there, should be able to move this all inwards a few. There we go. So this should be good to go. Now, the next thing, should just make sure that we're establishing our variables. So I'm going to do that. Because I think inst... Oh, excuse me. I think inst is the only variable that we actually need to establish here ahead of time. So like var I gets established by itself. So yeah, I think everything else here is fine. Okay, I don't know why it missed the underscore in this. But I need to make sure it gets that. Oh, I also need to figure out how the hell I'm gonna test this. I mean, because this boss doesn't really appear at a given round, that's basically gonna be like a secret thing that you have to do in order to unlock them. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, for now, I think I'll just make it so that it overrides it. Speaking of override, we can do this. I think we can use the same color from Griffith. Right, and here's where I have this like pattern override for testing purposes. You have to add this as well. Okay. Actually, no, I need to make sure I copy this over from here. Yep. Do 58. Now I believe we can add a pattern to practice. We'd go 58. Can put this here. Basically shows to skip it. Okay, so then here, this is where it loads the bosses. So I believe that should now work as long as we put this here as well. I think this should all be fine. May as well just go and test it. See no reason why not. Yeah, okay, so shows up as not beaten. And this is where I was testing dialogue. So currently it's a broken chub. There we go. But yeah, it'll just loop this. And I suppose that should mean it's unlocked now. Okay. Except the icon is broken, but... In fact, it broke it in more ways than one. I'm actually trying to check something. Because currently this should be making it so that the outline is red as well, but it's not doing that for some reason. Let me try seeing. So if I go to UI, go to here, have to quickly. Yeah, it won't be visible on screen because game maker jank. But essentially, we're gonna add an empty image at the end. Then we're gonna make it white. Then we're gonna write. Yep. And Game Maker is gonna take like a really long time to compile this because I had to insert a new image, and it recompiles the entire texture sheet every time it does that, or every time you add a new image. So yeah, I kind of have to wait. We kind of have to wait. All right. There we go. It's actually working correctly. We can see here. So yeah, it's still gonna be bugged, but yeah, that's fine. We can work with that for now. Okay. Okay, I want to change the color of this. I want to pick this out ahead of time. Where do I pick the color? It's like back here. Want to add more red for one. Now, when it comes to the attack color, I can just quickly pick this out in a sprite. I can hopefully just quickly share this. Yeah. So I'm thinking something kind of on like the red scale. Like something a bit more pinkish. I want it to be kind of flesh colored, to be honest. What if I made it like more pinkish? I kind of do like that. Like this, even. We can try it. So that would be these. Okay. So 142 green and 183 blue. Okay. We can now hide a sprite. That's pretty good color. Anyway. I still want to make it a bit more red. So if we go back here. Or I want to make the background a bit more red. So like that, probably. Probably suitable. And I can just set these both to 0, really. I want it to be like a fully saturated red. OBS, okay. Okay, that might be a bit too bright. Kind of okay, but I don't know, it's a little bit hard to look at. Let's have to continue to adjust it. I think we can just set this to 100. Can try that out. Yeah, this is a bit less bright. It's good. Or what if I took this in kind of a different direction, though? What if I did like 50 and then did like 20 on these? Like just went really dark instead. I mean, honestly, I should just be picking this out in Ace Bright anyway. I think this could be alright. Look at this. That's what we're gonna do, basically. Yeah. Kind of like this. So that's 44 red and 44 red and 11 blue. So we can probably just round this to here. Johnson, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Hey, what's up? Not much. I'm just starting work on the secret boss, which I guess the title does say. But in particular, I'm currently choosing colors. I think this is probably good. Like I'm pretty much about to move on from picking the colors. I think this is good enough. So yeah. So now we do something a bit more coding heavy. Hope I'm doing well. Yeah, likewise. Something I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna create this like following variable just in case it needs to be a bit different. We do a following, and it's not following, I guess. May you ask me something? Sure. Go ahead. I'm gonna add this like follower speed. I guess we have to set this to false by default. Equals length. Artists that can make any kind of models and streaming paddles at a fair price, so let me know if you're if I'm interested. Currently I'm not really interested in anything like that, but I appreciate the offer. Point direction XY underscore player page box X J underscore player dot page box Y. So I guess I should be establishing a direction variable. Can you draw something for me? I mean, I wouldn't really ask of it, but I mean, you could, technically. But in terms of like commissioning something, currently, I don't really have the means to, honestly. So for now, I'm good. Okay, so if I go to this pattern, I should do inst following equals true. Oh god. This is kinda interesting. So she is following me, which is basically what I wanted. Interesting. I'm thinking you're a scammer? No? I'm good. Like I said, I don't really have the means to, like, commission anything anyway, so... It's nothing like that. Alright, where do I... Where do I even... find out about all this? So this is... trying to figure out how I would even do this. Okay, so I think it's boss defeat. Yeah. Okay, so... So I think following equals false. Like that. So this should make it so that the boss now actually behaves properly when it needs to leave. At least somewhat. Like that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is actually give things a bit of a different sprite. And to do that, I'm gonna... Oh, gonna hide notepad. So yeah, this is like a big flame image that I use for, I think it's the Chubb special. I'm actually gonna scale this down a bit. By a bit, I mean quite a lot, actually. I want to scale it down to about, like, maybe like 50% of this. That's still a little big. Do like another 50%. Maybe not quite that small. This is probably fine. I believe this is probably good. So I guess then we'd have like we could like fill in this in the middle. Then we'd isolate this out to a different sprite. Um just tidying up some of the edges. Then I can put like an outline on this, which I didn't originally account for, but do this. Probably do that. I think this is fine for now. We can copy that. And then the next image we add is just this. Actually, you know what would be cool? What if we just made this black? We'd try it. I'm gonna call this Hellfire. We're gonna export this as well. Ugh, bit tired. So export the Hellfire. Then I can put this in as a bullet. So this is... So this isn't going to be visible on screen either, but... Trying to figure out the hitbox for this. Oops. Make that like 62. Okay. I think I have set up a good enough hitbox for all this. Now, instead of setting this to circle, we set it to Hellfire. Gonna get water as well. Then we go practice. Okay, I did the wrong thing by accident. other. Why do I have like the fire sprite? It's like here. Okay, so the hitbox is just that. So I believe I could just set the squares to be that instead. So we could do go fire instead. Really, I should just set this to hellfire to begin with. So we can do like this. Actually kind of like the idea of doing this. We can do this as an angle and a directional speed instead. Set it to 1 by default. That's not quite what I was going for. Need to make all of the squares look like hellfire. Do we change that to here? Change that here as well. We won't worry about the puppets for now, because there's something different entirely. So I believe that's their built-in variable for directional acceleration. Yeah. So we're going to add this to the hellfire specifically. Oh. Accidentally opened the game maker manual. Put this at like the end. Maybe not the end. Right, because I need this to be before this. Okay. X equals underscore hellfire. Yep. Now, the only problem here is that means I have to set it every time. You know what would be kind of crazy? I just got a really dumb idea, but one that's really cool. So if I go here, okay, so we can look at this. We're gonna have to optimize a lot of this. There we go. So then we add in this, but we set it to a negative. Essentially what that means is that it'll start like coming back. So I believe this is all just the same thing. So I'm gonna copy and paste this. Um, I just thought of a random issue, like a completely random issue that I might need to fix later. I'm gonna quickly write this down. I can just take this out. Alright, let's see how messed up this is. Oh shit. Okay, that might be a bit much. Maybe it wouldn't be a bit much though if I took away the herming fire. Actually, what if I just made this faster? And made all of them faster, because for some reason I set this variable multiple times. I guess I also could, like, tune down the frequency. So then can go here. Try this out. I feel like the direction is kind of wrong. The direction is kind of wrong, and the lifetime for the bullets is kind of wrong as well. We would need this to be around 600. Set that for each of these. Then I also want it to have a random direction, so I'm just gonna randomize it here. Once again, we don't have to worry about that for now. Oh god. Yep, that's pretty crazy. Is there any way at all to avoid everything here? I feel like it'd almost be possible, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel great. So let's turn that down. Maybe we like half the projectiles. So we do 660. All of these. 660. Maybe that'll be fine. This feels a bit more possible. Although it's still just getting too fast. I could try... I also need to adjust this. For what it's worth. Okay. We're gonna add a max DSP equals 16. And it'll basically constrain between these. So then if we go to bullet, we go to hellfire, get this. We instead say DSP plus this, then we clamp that between negative max DSP and max DSP. Which DSP is just the directional speed. Wondering what keeps happening here. This is kind of just awful, to be honest. So... we're gonna have to make the max speed something different. Maybe like that. Oops. Whoops. Okay, I feel like this is possible though. Like this is a lot more manageable. Even if like pretty difficult. Ooh. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh god. bullets turning around is kind of like a big issue when it comes to visual clarity. Like, it often makes it hard to tell when projectiles are coming from off screen. So it's kind of manageable, but also the Spotify playlist ended. So 1 second. What else could we play? No, the Calamity soundtrack is like 4 hours long. So like, why not? Yeah, I think maybe we just say screw it with sort of the returning fire. There just isn't enough visual clarity to it, so not worth the effort of trying to balance that. So we're gonna change this to 0. Change this back to 0. We could still change the speed there to 16 for each of these. Do that. Obviously, this boss card is very unoptimized, but oh well. We can set this back to 240. Just so that they despawn pretty quickly. We can also turn this up. I'm trying to think, does... No, that wouldn't work, but 18 would work. Right? Right, okay, so then you do 20 here. Do 10 here. 20 here, 10 here. 18. 20 here. Okay. So this is basically going to spawn some like much tighter bullet rings. Get rid of this. Like this. Oh god. That's a lot. Okay, right now they're a little bit too tight. This might be a bit too hard. Or maybe turning down the speed would be fine though. Let's try a bit of both. Why not? So we try a bit of toning down the projectile count. And we also decrease the speed. Actually, first we need to make sure that this works correctly. I think this would be plus 24. I believe that's... What is this? If we divide 360 by 15. Yeah, 24. My math was correct. 24 plus 12. 24 plus 12. We also make it a bit less spread out between each of these. So yeah, I think these should all be fine. Except we do need to still put that. Let's try this. This will hopefully be a little bit more manageable. Okay, this seems better. Like, still pretty hard. Still a bit too hard to get to the center, but... we could mess with the spawn zone on that. So if I go here... do we have spawn zones that wrap around the middle? Kinda do. I think probably the best spawn zone for this would be image 4. I think image 4 is fine. So now we just need to actually set the spawn zone. Should be image 4. I'm gonna copy this over from pattern 25. I'm just gonna put this here. Secret boss. Pattern 58. We set image 4. That should be all fine. Oh, this seems a lot more manageable. Oh god. As long as you get out of there quickly, it's fine. You, like, really need to, like, kite. It's a bit hard to get used to. Like that. So yeah, it can definitely be done. Now the other thing is targets, though. Do I spawn the targets in here? So we're gonna extend this by a second. We're gonna create 10 targets that you have to break. This is a super boss. This isn't meant to be easy. They're a secret as well. So yeah, nothing about this is meant to be easy. Oh god. I feel like sometimes it doesn't quite end up okay. Try it a few more times. Might actually be better if we make it accelerate a little bit. Because otherwise you got that issue where it doesn't quite feel fair because you got lingering bullets. So maybe we do this. We set max to 20. Oh, hang on. This is the wrong thing. Set it like that. Hmm. Ah, okay. How about... I think currently one of the main issues with this is the harming fire. So what if we just took this out? Because this is already pretty difficult. And, like, especially if we're gonna have multiple phases here, it doesn't have to be, like, insane off the bat. Like, as long as it... Whew. Okay. No, that actually feels fine, to be honest. Hitbox still feels weird sometimes. Hmm. We can maybe turn down the hitbox a bit. Like, especially at the top here, it often feels odd. Can make it a little less tall. Like that. We can also reduce this slightly. Do 10. I think maybe slightly less acceleration on these. So we'll like half it. And what if instead of randomizing the direction, we just made it point at the player? I feel like that could be a bit more fair. Do X, Y. Sorry, it'd actually be this, essentially. Just copy this into the direction. Uh, I feel like that could be fine. I want to just mess with it a little bit more though. Whew. Try and see if this is consistent feeling. Yeah, that feels reasonably consistent. It is quite difficult, but it's consistent. So honestly, I'm fine with that. So I think the issue there is that it carries over the same spawn zone. That's okay because that attack isn't final anyway. So I have an idea of what the next attack is gonna be. I have an idea, but I am just gonna think on it for a little bit longer. Um, I think it'll be fine. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna make the next attack. And we can sort of get rid of this section. And get rid of this as well. And get rid of this. Okay, so we basically just get rid of everything. We'll build it again from the ground up. So we'd basically repeat 2. We're basically just going to create more bullets. Always a good thing. So then we essentially do var underscore x equals room width. Sorry, we do negative 34, I think would be correct. And here we do x equals room width plus 34. Essentially, the idea is that there would be fire coming from both sides of the screen at the same time. And I basically just want to see how it looks for now. So yeah, do this. Feed in the X. Do like random the room height. Hello, JBR. So I am currently working on the second attack for this boss, which I should be able to showcase in a second. Basically just need to give it the direction to go in. Is all that's really left to do. We do, I think doing sign inst.x would be fine here. Times -1. 0 0 0 0, I believe. I kind of messed up the spaces on that, but actually no, this could work on its own if I'm doing this variable first. So yep, so then all that we need is the speed can be 4 times sine speed. I believe that should be correct. Actually, because we're using the angle, I actually don't need to do that. Okay, so currently this is going to summon probably way too many bullets, but I'm just going to see how it looks. I've typed instart dangle. Yeah, I know. So dangle is, as weird as it sounds, dangle or de-angle is basically like a variable I created for using like the directional speed variable. So it's separate from image angle and all that. Okay, yeah, this is way too many bullets. It's funny though. So then we do if timer mod 4 equals 0. We do this. God. Oop. So this is dodgeable, but and like I have dodged it so far. I don't know if it's necessarily balanced though. Wow, I actually god murdered that. That was really good. I do wonder if that's too difficult though, actually. If I didn't just immediately kill it, like maybe it's rougher than I think. Alright, let's try this again. And actually, I don't think it's that bad. The only real problem is that throughout all of that, you're being followed by the boss. And the gimmick I eventually want to have is that the boss will actually deal damage to you if you run into them. So that still might be a little bit too much. What if I tried turning down the acceleration? If I did 0.5 instead. So that'll make it so that the bullets are a little bit tighter, but they're a bit slower. So it becomes a little bit more precise, but a bit easier to read. try that. Yeah, so I feel like if we had the target spawning in like an actually okay place, this attack would be fine. Like it, kind of like a down scroller shooter, but you move with your mouse. Very unique game, looks good. Thank you. Yeah, so that was basically what motivated the entire creation of the game. I feel like I just don't see a lot of people use the mouse as a means to dodge things. And I think that's a shame because it's a very interesting and a very good control scheme, in my opinion. Because it's very analog. You can move as like fast or as slow as you want. Like it gives you much more control. And with that comes like a much greater skill ceiling. I am gonna turn this down. And I might introduce like a max speed. I also need to change where the target can spawn. I almost feel like it'd be suitable for the targets to spawn anywhere. So I do have a spawn zone that does allow them to spawn basically anywhere. If I go here, then here we'd set this. Set that to 29. Save this. So I am gonna have to use debug mode to pull up the spawn zone image. Because essentially how the targets work is that when you spawn a target, it checks if it's inside like a certain zone. And I call it the spawn zone. And it's basically just, I think, a 16 by 9 image. So if I do this, this is the spawn zone, the part in white. So the part in white is anywhere where the targets can be spawned. So you can see they don't spawn in the middle. Okay, so it is setting the spawn zone correctly. That's good. So that's good. Kind of giving you ideas for a game too. Have I thought about a score or point system where you get extra points if you click the bullseye in the target? That's an interesting idea, actually. I've I never considered that. That's actually a really cool idea, and it would sort of work. Hmm. At this point, it's probably a bit too late in development to implement something like that. Just because the game already is released. So I think like a major overhaul like that could be a little off-putting, but no, by all means, that's a really good idea. Like if this game was still hadn't been released yet and people weren't used to just clicking the target immediately, like that would actually be a pretty cool feature to implement. For now, I think I'm fine with it the way it is. I forget how I spawn the targets normally here. Didn't realize the game was released. Yeah, that's all good. Um, yeah, I don't know where I create the targets for the second part. Yeah, when I make the second game, I could do that maybe. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, though, I'm not sure if I'll make a second game in this style, with like the mouse movement at least. Purely just because, like, mouse movement unfortunately boxes it into just being like a mouse and keyboard game. So it becomes impossible to port it to like Steam Deck, becomes impossible to port it to like console. So yeah, that's the main concern. It's a very specific control set. So, in the future, especially when I'll eventually need to start making money off of the games that I make, right? Like, you know, as unfortunate as that is, like I really enjoy making games just as a hobby, but it is really the only way that I'm going to be making income eventually, so yeah, it's kind of important that in the future I have like things that can be ported to like more different systems. Try and make it so that I move and click with the joystick. Most controllers have a built-in button on the joystick. That is true. And I have sort of pondered the idea before, like if I'm gonna quickly open up a sprite just so I can sort of talk about this. Let's just increase the canvas size here. I almost thought about having a control scheme for controller where you have so you have the left joystick and the right joystick, right? And essentially, like the left would be your precise movement, and then the right would be so this would be like precise movement. So you can just very slowly go between places. Sort of similar to like a standard bullet hell or like shoot 'em up. But then this would allow more sporadic movement. So you could actually zip if you did like the right stick. So this would essentially be like, your joystick is like the width of the screen. So, you send your joystick over here, you're going all the way to like the corner of the screen. And then this would be like the more precise movement. So I thought about implementing something like that, and I haven't messed with it yet. So it is something I could consider. Sorry, let me catch up on what you were saying. Plus, that's the only control you could go N64 style and hold stick with one hand for precise controls. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, um, hide that. Okay, let's create. I'm gonna make this 10 targets again. Just see how this fares. Don't know if you like that. I think the joy of the mouse is that you have the full controls aspect. You make it so that you have to use 2 joysticks and it becomes a bit harder. Yeah, and that is something that I thought about. And that's why I haven't messed with it yet. But I think it could be interesting to look into for the future. Once again, kind of a bit too late to do that for this game, but I don't know, maybe for a future project that could work. You gotta come over here. Okay, this attack is hard. But it is kind of fair. Like, I just had to take my time a bit, and it sort of worked out. Ah, shit. Ooh, okay. Just barely. Yeah, I think that attack is actually pretty good. I think I'm gonna just keep it like that. Cool. So then, we're gonna add additional phases to this fight. It's gonna have a lot. Hopefully. I'm just trying to think of what I could do for another phase. So there's another idea I had where I could have Hellfire that tracks. I think that could be a fun thing. So I'm just trying to think of how I would implement this, though. Like, should I do this in a different sprite? Or should I just have the same sprite but make it like... Because I was thinking maybe have it like flicker a little bit when it's like the tracking fire. Hmm. I guess for now I should have like a tracking variable. So anywhere we create a bullet, it's a hellfire bullet. We need to set its tracking to false for now. Tracking equals false. Just copying and pasting this. I really should optimize that, but I just can't be bothered. So this game is released. Am I going to work on this game more, or am I just tinkering stuff for my own fun and enjoyment? Essentially, I plan to update it. This is, like, more or less the update that I'm currently working on. It is going to be the final update for the game. So yeah, it was sort of a passion project that I started a long time ago and released for free. But then now I'm on like the other side of university and kind of need to be making money at some point. So yeah, I'm trying to like finish up this project so that I can move on to things that are a bit more professional and actually like worth charging for, you know. That's fair. Yeah. Like once again, I do wish I could just work on it as a hobby forever, but you know, obviously not applicable. And like honestly, as long as I'm being fair about it and not charging people up the ass for games, then you know, we'll be fine. Like I don't plan to like monetize egregiously or anything like that. But you know, that there's a difference between you know charging because I'm currently just making games for free versus like you know obviously more aggressive monetization. Or like essentially I just want to release indie games that you would just pay for once and then that's it. So very, very standard sort of pricing model that I eventually want to sort of lean into. Yeah, unfortunately can't make things free forever. Anyway, here's phase 2, I suppose. So what I want to do for this one is I want to create it at the bottom of the screen. This would be room height plus... I forgot how tall the image is. Okay, it needs to be about 29, I think. So I think 90 is the angle that I need here. good about this concept is that it's got legs and it's pretty fun to play. Definitely on the right track for making unique games. Yeah, glad to hear that. The right polish, this could be a hit. Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the hope, is that eventually I can make something that is much more polished. And especially, like, as I said, this was 2 years ago that I started this. And, like, that's the big reason why this base sort of boss code that I'm working with is, like, very scuffed. Like, it has a lot of copy and paste. Like, you know, it's just, the game in general isn't very optimized, but now especially being on the other side of university, like I said, which it was actually like a game development course. Like I feel like I could make something much better now. So I have a lot of hope for the future in terms of making cool games. So here's hoping that it all just sort of works out in the end. So obviously, a lot of it is just going to be the hard work to put in. I'm more or less ready to do that. So do random room width here. Yeah, and like part of the reason why I even started streaming in the first place is I want to sort of ingrain myself into a mindset of consistently doing work on the game, since I want to eventually make game development my job. And so streaming is just a good way to do that. Like I have a schedule and everything. Yeah, it's been pretty nice so far. The month of June is going to be very, very packed for me as well. So it's going to be interesting times coming up. Anyway, I'll stop I'll stop yapping about it. So I need to set the tracking here to true. And the idea is that if it's tracking, it'll change its direction every so often. If I go here, go to Hellfire. If tracking and lifetime mod 60 equals 0, set the directional angle to direction between the bullet's position and the player's hitbox position. That. Could see the dream being that this game could be as an arcade, where it just has one joystick and a button on top for input, like a classic Atari game. Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. Um. Although I guess the unfortunate thing with that is that there are like a few more controls to the game than just that. I can probably show that off in a second. Um, so it should be good to test. But, like, there are a few additional features, so if I have to wait for the game to open. If I go into this bullet pattern, for instance, you can see I have, like, a right click, which is essentially, like the bomb button from Toho, if you've ever played that. It's more or less like a special, like, get out of a sticky situation sort of thing. Give me a second. Okay, sorry. Back to what I was doing. But then apart from that, there's also an ability you get later in the game where you can essentially blacklist certain bullet patterns. So how the game normally works is that you go into like an endless mode and it'll basically just give you like randomized bullet patterns to go through. And like I think currently I don't have it set up correctly just because I was doing stuff for the secret boss. Do I have a link to the game? Yes. So that is actually it's actually in my my channel about. So where it says about my super duper epic Steam game, as I dramatically call it. Oh god. Okay, I think this attack needs to be nerfed. But yeah, it is there. Although if you'd rather not like go to the link directly or whatever, like it is also just called Endless Bullet Heaven or like Endless Bullet Heaven on Steam. Yeah. So you can just look that up on Steam. Do some clicking then. Yeah, it's up to you. No pressure one way or the other. Now that I've reminded myself, I am gonna get rid of this. Okay. We have this attack. The only issue with this attack now is that it feels a bit too easy. Oh god. Okay, hang on, this is interesting. I like how if I get the timing correctly, I can sort of like dodge and weave through them. It's interesting. I do want to turn up the acceleration for them a little bit. Let's see. So yeah, I need to turn this up to 1. I'm gonna like uncap this, set it to like 30. Just bookmark the link. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if I read that out before. Apologies if I already did. Okay, have this. There we go. Oh my god. Okay, that was a lot. Oh god. I'm not performing very well at the moment. Oh god. Okay, so there's definitely stay alive for a bit too long. I'm kind of interested, like, if I made it so that they get deleted when they're outside of the room for too long, like, that could be fine. So, like, hmm. Hello, Zell. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Um. Okay, so I think I'd have to kind of do a lifetime check. I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. Hmm. Maybe I could just make it so that after a certain amount of dashes, it like stops. Alright, just finishing out some Minecrafting. It's good. I'm good. Yeah. So, what you doing in Minecraft anyway? Like, you doing like multiplayer, single player? Sounds interesting. I think I'm gonna bring this up to 6. Have this accelerate to like 15 or something. Multiplayer friends set a server up, so you've been making a house? Ah, okay. So you're in like the early game then, I assume. Yeah, multiplayer Minecraft is always like pretty fun. But I unfortunately haven't had like a lot of opportunities to do it just because I just haven't had like a lot of friends that have set up one. Like the only time that I really had like a small like sort of inner circle Minecraft server. I kind of like I kind of nerlifed on it for like a week or two. Uh, but like most people just stopped showing up like immediately. So I kind of just got like pretty end game stuff. And then it just never really amounted to anything. Like we never fought like the final boss or anything really. Like I even went and like killed the Wither. But yeah, unfortunate. That's exactly what you did, and you otherwise haven't played in years. Yeah. That's pretty much my experience as well. I never play it unless it's with, like, you know, a group. So I just don't really find the single-player experience that fun, personally, but I don't know, a lot of people seem to agree with me on that. Like, obviously not saying one way or the other for you, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people who see that, or who say that the single player experience isn't fun for them, and I agree. So, oh god. Same, yeah. It's kind of a downfall with Minecraft. I mean, of course it has like very active speedrunning as well, but that's kind of a different thing. But yeah, it makes sense because it's like, you know, the entire reason you'd want to like build anything really cool to begin with is if you wanted to like show it to other people. And so, like in single player, most people just aren't really gonna have that drive, and it's then all there is the, you know, the survival and beating the game sort of experience. But then that's a lot of like luck related stuff. Like especially with the Nether, like finding a Nether fortress and all that is just very luck-based and not really fun to do in single player, so... Yeah, it's kind of rough. Trying to think of how I can balance this to be a bit better. I think it may actually be better if I do something like this. Alright, hang on, let's... What if we just do this? Oops, so we scroll back up here. Let's just paste all of this in for now. Feel like in single player the temptation to cheat or use commands is too high as well. Yeah, a little bit. And like, I guess the other thing is it's especially demotivating in single player. Like, of course, when you actually die, which, you know, Minecraft isn't exactly easy. There's a lot of ways that you can die pretty much instantly. Um, yeah, and like losing all of your items is especially like demotivating if you're in a single player world. And like if you're in multiplayer, it's not as bad because you sort of have motivation to, you know, get back on your feet and like recover so that you can continue playing with your friends. But then in single player, you don't really have that. I'm gonna do this. And then I can just take these away. Set tracking to true. Now that I think about it, I don't think I set the timer for this correctly, but we can still just see what it does. Whoa. Okay, that's probably very loud, I'm sorry. Yep, I definitely did not set up the timer correctly. Good lord. Not really? Well, thank goodness for that at least. It's very loud on my end. It's funny. Alright, let's actually set the timer here correctly. Okay, so I was supposed to have this in here. Oh. Whew. So I think I'm gonna add like a tracking delay to this. I think part of the problem there was didn't have any delay on when to start tracking, and so it just immediately points at the player. On bullets, I give you bullets, exactly. They do call it a bullet hell, so, you know, mathematically, the more bullets there are, the better the game is. That's how it works. I don't make the rules. Okay. Bullet. Need to go into Hellfire. Delay is less than or equal to 0. Oh, I guess I should probably put this out here. Okay, hang on. If tracking delay... okay. I need to, like, order this correctly. Otherwise, we would do tracking delay minus minus. So it's basically a frame timer. Oh god. Ah. Okay, this is not correct either. I need to actually think about what I'm doing. Like, this should probably be significantly less. To no think, only code, exactly. Need to actually be using my brain. Think about how the timers are going to affect everything. Oh. Ah. Unfortunate. Okay, I didn't do that correctly. The sound, I mean. I see why it's so loud every time. It's because I put this outside of the timer. That makes sense. One bullets from every angle? Gotcha, I know what to do. Exactly. It is called Endless Bullet Heaven. As well. So logically, I should just give the player endless bullets. Constantly. This. I probably shouldn't have gone along the top like that. Okay. Here we go. This is a bit more reasonable. Still not quite there yet, but... maybe we do mod 60? And we do like less bullets. So that's probably fine. I want to make sure we have something that's sort of reasonable first. Once we have this in a reasonable state, then we can kind of buff it as needed. That was bad. Okay, hang on. I think that might still be possible. Of course I want to check. Ah. Always get hit on that one. Kind of wonder how viable it would be to like weave through there. Okay, maybe this will be fine if we tune down the starting speed a little bit. Like this. Give it a little less speed to begin with. so that it isn't taking up as much space. But I do like the way that it sort of works with tracking the player. Although, of course, I'd need a visual indicator of that as well. So sort of like this. I mean, it's dodgeable. I do wish it was a bit better telegraphed. Like, especially, like, how am I even gonna place targets in here? Okay. We're gonna further adjust the acceleration, I guess. Set this to like 0.08. I think that should be more or less fine. Might add a bit of a longer tracking delay as well. This is the lost boss. So this isn't the lost boss. This is essentially going to be like a post-game secret boss. So, still though, for that same reason, I do think the difficulty is warranted. So like I could go to the second lost boss. Currently the game doesn't have a final boss, and that's something else I need to make eventually. But that's going to be done mostly off stream. But to give you an idea of like more so the standard difficulty of the game, like this is the second lost boss. So it's nowhere near as bad in terms of like difficulty. I shouldn't use the word bad. It's nowhere near as difficult. It's more so just meant to be like a fun little like step up with like a few unique phases. Yeah. So that's the second lost boss. And the entire point of the secret boss is to just go like full out with the difficulty. Like I want to see how hard I can make this sort of control scheme. Because as I sort of mentioned before, the cool thing about having a mouse game is that the control is very free. You can be as fast or as slow as you want. And so it has a really high skill ceiling, and this is to more or less test that skill ceiling. There we go. Okay, I put way too much delay on it. Maybe... maybe not, let's not do that. I think maybe just having the speed at 5 and turning down the acceleration is fine. Go here. I kind of got caught in the corner. Whoop. Might die here. Yeah. Whoops. Have I tried Game Make Studio 2? So I have tried it. I was considering moving over to it for a bit. Just because I think they've improved like a lot of the code in Game Maker Studio 2. I mean, it'd kind of be difficult to describe all of the examples, but I've just seen like a lot of things with Game Maker Studio 2 that seem better. The only thing I didn't like about it was just the workflow. Like, that's obviously a common criticism of it, is how it's like a very... how it has like the very open, like, interface. And it's like very easy to get lost in it. Since it's just like this whole, like, you know, infinitely scrolling sort of thing. Nowadays, though, I'm actually planning to switch to Godot. And part of that is because in university, I mostly worked on Unity, but then Unity kind of shit itself, and so now I'm planning on switching to Godot because I don't want to deal with the Unity bullshit. So yeah, I've messed with Godot a little bit already, and I do like it a lot. So that's... although obviously I'll have to see if I prefer it for like a long-term sort of thing. But I do plan to maybe try and use Godot for like a future game jam. And then that'll help me sort of familiarize myself with it a bit more and hopefully see if it's something I could continue with in the future. So yeah, that's more or less the plan. Yeah, that's the thing. Any development program can do most of the things you want to do. It's just finding the right one. Yeah, exactly. And like one of the other reasons I wanted to switch away from Game Maker is that doing UI in Game Maker is so difficult. Like honestly. Because apparently they do plan to have like a better UI system in Game Maker 2 at some point. But in Game Maker Studio 1 and currently in Game Maker Studio 2, like UI coding is very much like manual, like having to figure out layout, having to like tweak numbers. Like in Unity and Godot, it's a lot more like you can actually just do it visually in Game Maker and Unity in a way, I guess is what I'm saying. Like you can actually just do all of like the layouts, like just build it in like an interface. While in Game Maker you have to like manually instantiate everything. You have to create all of like the objects. You have to like program like the inputs. You have to program like the uh another thing is like when you have to do like you press left or right and it like navigates the menu, you have to do that manually in Game Maker as well. Like it's just UI in Game Maker is hell. Like actual just straight up hell. Even in this game where you use the mouse for everything in menus, like it is still not easy. So trying to learn Godot right now. Well, best of luck with that. Uh, yeah, getting into I don't know like what your experience is with game development in general, but getting into it can be quite the ordeal. So I wish you luck with that. But above all, I believe that anyone can do it. So yeah. Let's change this to like 4. Okay, I have something that could work here. We do 5 and then we set tracking delay to 120. Oh, okay, got this. Oh god, I thought that was the lost target. Okay, this is definitely still not great. And you can kind of get into a groove with this, but it's not easy. Let's try changing this to 80. Then we just add to this, I think would fix the issue I was having before. Really, I could set this to 160 or 261 just to be sure. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. Shit. Whoop. This kinda works. I still would like for it to not be as fast to begin with. I almost feel like I could turn this down to like be like 3. Like that would be fine. I'm also gonna have to start like skipping the first couple of attacks because I think I've tested them enough. Fortunately, I do have the debug tools to do that, so here we go. Skip first attack, skip second attack. I think I know part of the issue here as well. How about I just, like, make the tracking delay less again? Can try that. I think that's fine. And we can set this to, like, mod 40. Do timer plus 20, mod 40. Okay. This is a little more like it. So we can have this as sort of like an introduction to the ones that track. Fair enough. Let's just try that again, real quick. I'm wondering if you could get her to go to, like, one very specific side of the screen. Just by, like, doing this. Like, could I get her to gravitate to the top? Because that could be an interesting thing to look at. So I can kind of get her to the top. That's cool. Although I do feel like it would be kind of unintuitive to do an attack like that, where you would spawn targets in the middle and you'd have to get her to, like, track to one place or the other. Yeah, maybe a little unintuitive. But it could be interesting, I guess. I don't know. For now, I think I'm gonna end the stream there, though. Been working at this for 3 hours, and I have more stuff I need to continue off stream, more or less. So, yeah. Oh, thank you for coming along, Zal. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. So we're going to be rating Anajinx. Should be, yeah. Thanks for a cool stream again. Love the game. We gotta give you a follow. Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, very much appreciate all that. And yeah, let's go raid Anajinx. Very cool streamer currently playing